topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Good morning, Tampa. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show, where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Our first guest, our expert, I got to tell you, he gave us such a scare last time. Good morning, Ray.
Good morning, Steve. And yes, I feel a whole lot better this Monday morning than I did 2 weeks ago, but everything is just fine now. One of those scary events, but at the time, but all is good. We
need you to stay healthy, Ray. That's all I have to say.
In more ways than one, I agree with you.
I hear you. Ray, it's funny because we had a couple of phone calls. Shows you how closely people listen. And both of them were calling and saying, this sounds like the same show. Well, it was, because we were doing a repeat. So people really do listen very strongly. But since we're always getting new listeners, I love it when you tell people, share your story about Provise Wealth Management. Tell people about it.
Sure. Steve founded Provise in 1986, and here we are 37 years later. We are a financial planning and investment management firm with offices in Clearwater and Tampa, Florida. We have a great team of 31 people, 14 certified financial planners, and backed up by a wonderful staff of 17. We're helping about 1,100 families scattered across the United States, 30 some states to be exact, and providing financial planning and investment management totaling from an investment management side about $1.8 billion. And we hope to cross $2 billion in 2024. We are a financial planning firm first and foremost, and we see investment management, retirement planning, estate planning, education planning, all of insurances, all of that as a subset of the financial plan, because we strongly believe that if you have a written financial plan, your odds of success are significantly enhanced. So delighted to be with you this morning. And again, thank you for everybody being concerned about my health, but it's all good.
Good. We're so glad to hear that. Ray, one of the things you said just now just kind of reminded me when you said you've got all these clients around the United States. That means that there's people who are recommending you because you're in Tampa, Florida. So that just shows how much your firm makes people, investors, happy. Am I pretty close to get the recommendation part?
Well, we are blessed. The vast majority of our new clients come from referrals from existing clients and from professional friends, lawyers, CPAs, et cetera, who also refer their clients to us. And when you've been in the business as long as I have, people move around. So that's part of it too. But we are very blessed to be dealing with people around the country. And so whether folks are in Clearwater or Tampa Bay area or not doesn't really make any difference to us, given the way we all have become accustomed to Zoom or Microsoft Teams, et cetera, we're able to easily serve people all around the country and have been doing so for our entire 37-year history.
Amazing. Well, Ray, we're coming to the end of a tax year, and I guess there's still time to do, end of the year tax planning. What are a few of the things that listeners should be thinking about now?
Well, we do have some, 25 days to do some of that planning. Maybe we could stretch it into the weekend going into New Year's. First and foremost, I think people need to look at their charitable contributions. This is the time of the year when many people donate money. And if you are donating cash, you can give cash and donate up to 50% of your adjusted gross income. So if you have income of, let's say, $150,000, you could donate up to $75,000 in cash and deduct the entire amount. So it's a really a wonderful last minute tool. Don't wait to too much of the last minute, however, because it's always best to have that, even though you mail the check, it's best to have that check actually cashed before the end of the year. If you don't have the cash to give to charity, think about any stocks that you might have that are appreciated in value. You can donate the stock. You can only write off 30% of your adjusted gross income, not 50% if you're using appreciated stocks. But nonetheless, it's a rather tidy sum. In either case, if you give more than what you're able to deduct, you can carry that forward for up to 5 years. And so you don't lose the deduction, you lose the time value of it, but not the deduction itself. So that's kind of number one. For those that are in business for themselves, if you can delay income and push it into 2024, and whatever expenses that you have out there, jam them all in here into 2023, and perhaps consider prepaying some of those bills. Even though the terms may be more liberal, you may find it more advantageous to pay those bills before they're actually due. The other thing to be thinking about at this point is gathering up all of your records to begin getting prepared for April. And one of the things to consider, and I know this is a little bit on the morbid side, but if you've had a lot of medical expenses this year and you're facing an operation, consider having it before the end of the year, because if your medical expenses exceed a certain level, you will be able to deduct all of those, most of those medical expenses. If you haven't had medical procedures this year, then perhaps delay that into next year, starting off with a large deduction. It's kind of late in the year to do a whole lot more than those kinds of things at this particular point. Certainly, if you have stocks where you have lost value this year, consider selling those stocks and take the loss to offset any gains that you might have had. If you really like the stock and you want to keep it, well, go ahead and sell it now, and then consider buying it back in 30 days. But don't sell it and buy it right back, because that's what's known as a wash sale, and you won't get the loss attributed to your portfolio. The next best thing to do is to look back and say, these are all the things I should have done or could have done for this year, but didn't do. And don't procrastinate, and look for those things. And then beginning in January of 2024, start implementing those so that you'll reduce your taxes for next year if you can't reduce them for this year.
Oh, that's good stuff. Ray, this is also the time of the year when, millions of people are deciding what to do with Medicare. I am one of those. It's what makes it so confusing is all these. I bet I must get 20 phone calls a day. people making all kinds of, I think, some ridiculous promises of what they can do. But what advice can you give those who are struggling on making a decision with Medicare?
Well, Steve, first of all, you're exactly correct. It is a complicated subject, and anyone who is over the age of 65 right now is being inundated with phone calls, television ads, mailers, letters, wanting you to make a change in your coverage. We have searched a long time to find the right company to assist us with this, because candidly, it's above my pay grade. And Steve, as I've said to you before, what we do well at Provise, we do very well, and what we don't do very well, we find others that do things very well. And in the field of Medicare, we have been able to identify a specialized program that helps people make the decision based on their age, their income, their medical history, whether it's single or a couple. And the beauty of this is it's totally independent. They don't sell any insurance. They don't recommend any insurance other than to tell you what they believe would be the best plan for you. You still have to go to an agent, but they unraveled all of the mystery for you between Medicare, Medicare Advantage, supplemental policies. Do you want to get Part D, which is for drugs? It's a cost of $400 for this particular program. But let me say to all of the listeners, it's the best $400 you will ever invest to try to get you the right plan. And keep in mind, we don't sell health insurance either. So it's totally objective as to what would be the best plan for you. And if anybody wants to take advantage of it, please call me at the numbers that you see scrolling across the bottom right now at 727-441-9022. That's 727-441-9022. And we'll set you up so that you can look at this and take advantage of this, what we believe is the best program we've run into to help people with this difficult subject.
That sounds like it's God sent, right? Because, wow, like I said, I get probably 20 phone calls a day, and everybody's got this great deal. I'm actually very happy I'm with a very big company, Humana, but the thing is, though, they're promising you $3,500 in addition to in cash, and we'll pay for a dental implant, and you just don't know who to listen to. So that is a wonderful, wonderful idea. And you're right, $400 is nothing, especially because the savings they can probably relay to you.
Well, it's not just the savings, but certainly the savings are there, but it's also making sure that you have the right benefits for your personal situation. And again, it's coming from somebody who is totally unbiased because they don't sell any of the insurance, nor do we. It just kind of points you in the right direction to then go to a licensed agent to obtain the policy. And if the agent says, oh, no, that's not the one you want something else, time to find a new agent.
Yes, right. Exactly. We had just avoided another government shutdown. I guess it's until mid-January, early February. What are the economics, Ray, in this political implication in this recent move? What a lot of people, including myself, still don't quite understand it.
Well, first of all, as bad as the president's rating is at the moment, Congress's is even worse and significantly worse than the president. And frankly, for good reason. Total dysfunction going on. And in fact, this past weekend, it was announced that the Republicans in the House that had helped to lead to the ouster of Speaker McCarthy are now willing to accept the terms that he had negotiated with the president back earlier this late summer, early fall.
I did not know that.
And so all of this turmoil is totally dysfunctional and is not good for the country, either politically, where we look like fools to the rest of the world as we're bickering over these things. But I always remind everybody when they complain about Congress or they complain about the president, just remember we're the ones that vote them into office. So we have to point the finger back at ourselves as well. And it doesn't make any difference which party you're in, whether you're Democrat or Republican. Right. There's plenty to go around for all of us. So the political implications are continued dysfunction. And you're right, the first deadline is in the middle of January. And that sounds like, well, we still got 6 weeks, 5 weeks to figure that all out. But, Congress traditionally goes home on the 15th of December and comes back in early January. So there really isn't much time. Maybe some grown-ups in the room would actually say, sorry, you're not going to go home for Christmas this year for 2.5 weeks. You're going to have to stay in Washington and actually work, which would be a novel concept. On an economic level, it's significant. We have to find a way to borrow a reasonable amount of money from year to year. If we're not able to balance the budget, we cannot continue trillion-dollar deficits every year, adding to the national debt now at somewhere around $25 trillion. The interest costs to the government are astronomical today compared to 2 years ago, not only because the debt's gone up, but because interest rates have gone up. And all of that money is going out to people who have bought our government bonds instead of being able to be used by the government to reduce the debt and or to provide services and benefits to those to whom it would be in need. So we've got to figure out a way to solve the problem, both on a political and an economic level, because neither one would end well unless we do.
Ray, why do they always seem to wait till the last minute?
Well, your guess on that one, Steve, is as good as mine. I guess there's, hope springs eternal, that if I hold out, that I'll get my way, or I'll get more of my way. But it's a very unhealthy culture. Excuse me, a very unhealthy culture for us, as I said, both economically and politically. Many of us grew up in a time when the two sides could argue bitterly with each other and then go out and have dinner together and resolve their differences and then come up with compromises. But compromise seems to be a dirty word, if it's a word at all that exists in Washington anymore.
Ray, I heard an economist, I think it was last year, say if we ever hit $20 trillion in debt, this country is going to be in a lot of trouble. What are we at today, Ray?
I think we're approaching something north of 25 trillion.
Yeah. So that is just stuck out in my mind that we should never get to 20 trillion. And here we are, like you said, a little north of 25 trillion. That's scary.
Yep, indeed it is.
The Fed's going to be meeting one last time before the end of the year. Do you see one more bump in interest rates?
So, first of all, let me correct myself, Steve. The national debt is now almost 34 trillion. I said 25 trillion. I meant to say almost 35 trillion. So it's just shy of 34 trillion. $34 trillion, just to put it back in perspective. And so I apologize for that. Interest rates. There's been some awfully good news on inflation the past several months. Even Chairman Powell acknowledged that if you look at the last 6 months worth of inflation data, it is very favorable. But the problem that we're going to start to have is inflation started to kind of ease late last year, early this year, and soon the comparables are going to be harder to match up. We won't have started at such a high level. We'll be starting at lower levels to compare to a year from now. The Fed has been measured the past couple of months in terms of interest rate increases, and I would be very surprised and very disappointed to see the Fed raise rates again at the end of this year. If it does, there will be no Santa Claus in the markets. The markets will tumble dramatically at the end of this year. And I don't think that the Fed is interested in seeing the mood of the country at an economic level to become that disappointed and depressed here at the end of the year. I think that they'll continue to say they'll watch the data, that there is continuing improvement. We ought to see it continue to slow down. We had a very robust third quarter of the year with the GDP increasing a little over 5%. We would expect that the GDP during the fourth quarter is no higher than 2% increase, and wouldn't be surprised to see it at even to 1%. So that slowdown is going to indicate a decrease in demand, which should begin to further temper prices. That should be good. There's a lot of people that are talking about, a soft landing. In fact, some are even starting to call it a soft landing, meaning it will be so soft that we won't even know we've landed. We don't think that that's what's going to happen. We think it's going to continue to be very bumpy for the next 6 months into next year. And then things ought to settle down and improve during the last half of 2024. But Steve, it all is going to depend on there not being one of those events that none of us want to see. And that's political turmoil here in the United States, geopolitical risks that exist overseas. It's always what we don't know is what ends up grabbing us. And that's what we're going to have to be careful of and walk very gingerly and be very nimble. And that's why with our clients, with their investment portfolios, we have a very strict discipline that we follow with asset allocation to help protect against those dips. Obviously, you can't avoid the dips, but at least to try to protect to get them. And again, I just want to remind everybody that if they would like to visit with us, we always offer a 1-hour free consultation in our office, Tampa, Clearwater, or by Zoom. So no matter where you are in the United States, we'll be happy to visit with you. It's a complimentary 1-hour conversation for us to talk about whatever is important to you and to learn more about your situation and you about us, to see if there's a way for us to be able to help you as we are the other 1,100 families that we're helping around the United States.
Ray, what I love about your firm is you have been blessed. The way you explain things, the common man can understand. And it's funny, I was thinking this, and all of a sudden I got a text from a listener out there is thanking us for your show, but thanking us the way you speak to our audience. A lot of times people in your business will talk over people's heads, and a lot of people are embarrassed to say they don't understand. But with you, it's so much different. You really break it down. We so much appreciate you and your firm. Let's give everybody your phone number one more time.
Sure, there it is, right going across the screen. So perfect timing. 727-441-9022. 727-441-9022. Just call the office and say you'd like to schedule an appointment, or if you want to talk with me, let them know. And if I'm not available right away, I'll call you back.
And you take care of yourself. You understand?
I will. I promise you that. As I said, it was a scary event, but fortunately not one that was life-threatening, but it sure felt like it at the time.
I hear that. Ray, thank you so much. God bless. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Absolutely. I'll be able to wish you happy holidays 2 weeks from today. So we'll see you on the 18th.
I love it. Thank you, Ray.
Take care. Have a wonderful day.
That's Ray Ferrara with Provise Wealth Management. So, 1 hour free session. You sit down for the first time with them. That's amazing. That's it for us today. We'll be back with you next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.